because briquette definitely is superior to, in terms of health, will be better than charcoal. So that is there. Biogas, I'm sure there are better ways to manage the waste. There are always better ways to manage it. If we're able to do it efficiently, I would say it's better than LPG. But you can still allow LPG in the system. Those of us who want LPG can go for it. But we should try and, as much as possible, to get an alternative for the low-income household. In that sense, if we create alternatives for poor household, I'm sure we'll be able to move gradually to where we want to go. And that will take some time. That's what I mean. That will take some time.
If you are a member of the Council of State and you are to advise government to take pragmatic steps to achieve something that will help clean energy production in Ghana, what will you tell the government?
I think, yes, we should encourage LPG supply. We should also encourage alternative fuel sources. We have biogas, we have solar, those who can go for solar. Provide options and encourage the private sector to support the sector. The government should encourage the private sector who are in those sectors. I think the critical thing is provide alternatives, cheaper alternatives. And I think once they are cheap and they are good, people always go for those options.
Okay, my home question has to do with the findings of the review of most of the household air pollution and the cook stove intervention that shows that none of them actually met the WHO guideline for clean air. And I'm glad when I saw that report, I was happy. It tells what many people that have lived experience in developing country already know, that some of the helicopter research that are being done, people fly in and fly out and give people one stove and do, that some of the gains they were seeing before were hot-on effects. People were just trying to please them to use those stoves. When the rubber hits the road, people will not. One of the foods that most people, source of protein that people will eat in Nigeria, and I think they also have it, is beans, that red beans. It takes a long time to cook, to soften it. Who will use LPG to cook beans? They burn you. Who will use LPG to cook beans? And we are also a communal society. When we are doing party, for me, like during Christmas or what have you, or festival, we'll cook large quantity of food. In village, nobody will go and buy LPG to be cooking town hall meeting food to go and be buying, except if there is a donor or what have you. So I think sometimes there is a disconnect between realism, what is practical, and for those of us who have fund, we have already got the fund, so we are really not telling the truth in most times. We tell the people what they want to hear, and we take them to what they want to see. And that is why a lot of things are happening that those reporters found out. But my concern has to do with this. You cannot legislate clean air. You cannot. So I saw my colleague, very good passion, but you can only, many of us that are in this room, we do not represent an average African. That is the truth. All of us that are African in this room, we do not represent the people that are living on less than $2 a day. 60% of our population, we don't represent them. So there are people that cannot even afford to buy charcoal. The minimum wage cannot even sustain them buying charcoal for their family. So why would I go and buy charcoal when I can go into the bush and cut down tree and use? And like the question you said, so I think we have not really painted the right picture. We have been very political. with the message we give to the funders and what have you, so that they can have something doing. And so many of the money that we spent on research is not showing in terms of health benefits. And the politicians are laughing at us, say, see them, they're deceiving themselves. And that is one. The second thing is, when you look at even the fuel, the cleanest of our fuel is LPG. Many parts of Africa are rich in LPG. Nigeria is the 5th largest producer of gas in the world. Ghana also has gas. Then there is an issue of energy transition on climate change. I believe strongly that we need to take steps to curb climate change. But my question is, if you look at even what most of the work you've done, the cleanest energy we will have for cooking, which takes highest percentage of our energy use, is LPG. What is the message? What is your team and all the people that are working on this? What message, what is your contribution to the call to stop fossil fuel? And let me bring the context. I'm not saying we will continue using fossil fuel forever, but you need to learn to crawl before you start running. Even after learning to crawl, you will walk before you start running. Now, these are people who cannot even afford to buy solar panel, even among us. To buy solar panel in Nigeria for a house, a flat, a 2-bedroom flat, you need to spend like $5,000. How many Nigerians are earning $5,000 per annum to even say you are going to buy solar panel? Because a lot of people from Western world come around and say, hey, you have sun, you have sun. Are you just going to tap sun inside your house? Won't you use solar panel? $5,000. Who has $5,000 to invest in solar panel? And even the small, all the China-made lamps that they call the recharge, when you buy it in a year, it will be very bright. In 3 months after, it will go. I have a lot of that, excessive that in my house, that you will just buy and throw away. But people don't tell the reality of these things. These are things that are militating against people using this. I keep telling people, the Stone Age did not disappear because somebody legislates a law that don't use stone on each other to generate it. Technology override it. If you give me anything that is cheap today, even me, I will abandon LPG and start using it that is health benefit. So economic empowerment is very important. And then ability to use things that are locally available. I think that is where we need a lot more support to move into the solution space. What are the things that are locally available that research and innovation can help us develop to use for the low-income households that you've mentioned? And then how do we still allow people? This is not the time to stop production of gas in Africa. I fully agree that we need to change behavior. We need to curb climate change. But how much is the gas? What is the contribution of the fossil fuel that African is using? My pain is that I'm opportune to know that the way gas drilling business happens, it goes on a long-time contract. Many parts of the Western world, they've already bought for the next almost 7 years, 14 years, the gases we will produce in Nigeria. That is how liquefied natural gas contracts work, because you cannot store gas. So they fund your drilling of it, and then you sign a long-time contract. Meanwhile, multilateral agencies are being pressured to stop funding gas development in Africa. What you are going to create is energy crisis in the next 7 or 8 years. Lives of Africans matter. And for me, when I see something like this, I grew up using kerosene lamp to read. So it pains my heart. One other thing, we are doing a study at Ijede in Lagos. We are doing indoor air pollution. And we want to look at people that are using LPG, kerosene, and charcoal and wood. In a whole village, we could not find people using kerosene. So people, kerosene is bad. I believe it has BTEX, But let me tell you the challenge. If you live in what we call face me and face you, you need to be living in a house that has a big courtyard to be able to use our traditional cooking. But many of those people, they are very poor people, so they don't live, if it's a suburban area, they live in what we call face me, face you in Nigeria. So typically, they need a stove that can, we call it domot in Warri, by the entrance of your door, something you can put there. But the traditional wood stove, you cannot put it there. So we can't even afford, so when it rains, they cannot cook. Because they cannot go outside to cook by wood or what have you. So a kerosene stove, I grew up using that kerosene stove. We just put it to warm water or what have you by the entrance to the room, and then you use it. I think this thing is more complicated than a lot of people understand. And we are afraid to tell the truth because we don't want our funding to be stopped. But then we are not getting the health benefits, and we are moving in circles. So please, I think we need to be have a frank, I know that it's politically incorrect and unpopular to say they should not stop fossil fuel. But to be fair, it is not a just transition. And people that are working in household air pollution need to have a say in the timeline for this.
Okay, so maybe I can. So mine is more of kind of follow-up or contribution to the first speaker. And I mean, the perception about how, I mean, your delivery of the presentation. I think that for your background as an academician, you are trying to give the pros and cons. I mean, to lay the issues as they are. I mean, the fact that each of them is not perfect, and to kind of generate the kind of discussion that has already started. So I wanted to add make the point about the fact that, yes, LPG can certainly not be the answer for the simple reason that it's a fossil fuel. But for now, it appears in our setting, that's the best that we have, and that's how come it appears there is a hype on it. But that notwithstanding, in Kintampo, for example, we've looked at various fuel. In fact, we've looked at ethanol, the acceptability, and then how it works in our community. We actually wanted to look at briquette, but there were some logistical challenges. And then we've looked at this industrial cook stove. We've looked at, of course, LPG is something that we've always worked with. And then we've looked at the improved biomass, just to look at how they function, and then also how it's accepted in the community. In fact, in that work that we did, it came out clearly that, in fact, of course, probably because of the hype on the LPG, I mean, the acceptability was much higher compared to like ethanol. In fact, we tried electricity as well, that's the induction. So I think the point I'm making is that, yes, research has to look at a lot more innovative ways, as we are all saying, to make the fuel and the cook stove affordable, so that at the end of the day, certainly if it's affordable, and I mean, we all want to use it, irrespective of your socio-economic level. And also the fact that, but that notwithstanding, I think we need to awareness. People, I don't think we can assume that people are aware of the health effect enough. I think we still have to do a lot of work to show the health effects, because it's one key thing. Yes, affordability, yes, but then, which I think I'll in the scale, I'll put it up there, but then the health effects, because I'm sure once people are aware of the health consequences, they will certainly want to do a lot more to avert it. Thank you.